This is, I would say, from personal thoughts, that this is the one program that I am looking forward the most of my entire concerts, not only national but all over the world. Oliver Messiaen's Turangalîla is one of the most important, I would say, works in the 20th century because of how it changed the musical language, orchestrally speaking, of what could be possible. Oliver Messiaen was not afraid to expand the possibilities, and this work is massive by every stretch of the imagination. And I'm not just talking in terms of size, I'm talking in terms of emotionally and powerful and colorful and interesting. There are so many curiosities in this piece that I have to be honest, as I open the score, it's literally insanity in a box. And coming from a composer that was so quiet and so incredibly shy in many ways, for him to write something that is so massive in its presentation, there's no recording that could ever do justice to it. This is a work that you have to experience live. It calls for huge orchestra, 12 percussionists playing every imaginable toy you can think of, but it also calls for keyboard glockenspiel. It calls for a very unusual instrument specifically for this piece called the ondes Martenot, which I guess is a combination of an electronic organ, but that you use with your finger. Again, you have to be there to witness this. It is vintage Messiaen, and the piece Turangalîla is based on the Indonesian gamelan and the idea of complete love and passion. Every single movement has to do with just expressing love. So you can imagine that every single note basically tells a story. And like love, at times it can be easy, but many times it can be very hard and quite complicated. And the music, both for the orchestra, for the conductor, for the pianist, is one of the Mount Everest of orchestral repertoire. I know the piece, I have known it for many, many years, but I've been kind of staying away from it because, again, I didn't want to deal with the trouble of it. I know how complicated it can be. But Jean-Yves Thibaudet, the soloist, had been telling me for a few years that this is my piece. He said, you need to do this. I think that you're custom made for this piece. And I really didn't see it. I didn't understand what he was talking about. We've worked together many times, but he kept, every time we had sat down for dinner, he said, we need to do this. So when I invited him to come to Nashville, he basically said, I only have one piece available, and that's the Turangalîla. So we either do it or we don't. So I felt, you know what? I cannot imagine any better conditions than doing this incredible work than with somebody like Jean-Yves, but also with the Nashville Symphony, that with my almost a decade that I've been working with these incredible musicians, this might be the time for me to tackle it, and to be able to do it at home is something that I know will be beyond rewarding. So that is, I think, the main reason why this piece is the biggest project and the most important project that I am looking forward to. So because the piece is long, so what we're gonna do is, on the first half, we're basically gonna do a show and tell. I think all of us would appreciate to show what it is that the composer included in this piece. Outside of the soloist, the percussion section, these unusual instruments, the ondes Martenot, the keyboard glockenspiel, as I said, there's so much going on in this machine that even for those of us who are playing it, I think it would be good to take a step back and say, okay, let's try to take it apart. And that's what's going to happen in the first half. And then after intermission, we'll play it together. But I think once you get a little bit of a backstage tour of the piece, you would get a fuller appreciation of it.